In today's video, I'm sharing exactly what I do if I want to reach all my 2025 goals. I'm Dr. Tiffany Shelton, neuropsychologist and published author, and I've helped tons of women reach some of their wildest dreams and have spent over a decade dating myself, researching and learning all things achievement psychology, so don't worry, you're in good hands. And because I want this to be no fluff video, let's jump right in. The first thing you're gonna do is reflect and reset. The first thing we're gonna start off with is reflecting on this past 2024 year and doing some thought work to reset and move into 2025. This is going to help us start from a very conscious and a very intentional place so that we can actually make 2025 our best year yet. So first, I want you to reflect on your wins and your challenges. I want you to evaluate for 2024, did I actually reach my goals? And if you did, I want you to celebrate those wins, but I also want you to think about what helped you get there. And that can be something you maybe double down or a lesson you take with you into 2025. For the ones you didn't meet, I want you to think about what actually got in the way. And I guess before I go there, as a side note, it's okay if you didn't meet your goals in the last year in 2024. Some goals take more than 1 year to actually achieve, and I think we need to normalize that. We don't need to give up on them, and we don't need to judge ourselves if every one of our goals didn't come true that year. That's actually an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to learn, and actually an opportunity to reevaluate, is this something that's really important to you right now and realistic for the season that you're in? And I think it's important to say sometimes we set goals that we want to achieve in 1 year, but they're really like trying to break bad habits that we've accumulated over years, if not decades. And so it can be kind of unrealistic to think about, even though it's something we really want, changing those things in just 1 year. So be gracious with yourself and instead take it as an opportunity, as a time to look at, okay, what didn't work for me? Let's say you had a health goal of, eating healthier like I did and it didn't work out. What got in the way and what can you learn from that so that you can apply it moving forward in 2025? One way that I like to teach my clients in the past and how to actually use these difficult life circumstances, whether that's, maybe we're experiencing grief or went through depression or, something bad happened that impacted your goals for the previous year, is using something called radical acceptance. And I want to show you how to put radical acceptance in action so that you can really take those lessons from any goals that you didn't achieve or any difficult life circumstances and use them to your advantage. You can also look at, are there any themes to the challenges? Like for instance, you find yourself, for me this past year, one of my themes for challenges were what I call kicking myself when I'm down, and really getting into the mindset of just because I'm going through something difficult, like the grief I was experiencing, doesn't mean I have to also do something bad to myself, like have a glass of wine or go eat some comfort food, right? Like that can be something that I learned to reframe and actually plan for in 2025 so that I have the tools to overcome that and it doesn't get in the way of my goals. You can also think about what negative emotions did you experience in 2024 as it relates to not achieving those goals that you didn't achieve, and think about, are those emotions here to teach you anything? Like for instance, anger is usually a deeper feeling of something else underneath it, usually feeling invalidated or feeling some type of injustice. Feelings of sadness and depression are usually related to feeling hopeless or out of control in your life. So really look at the emotions that were tied to not achieving your goals and see if there's anything that those emotions are trying to tell you that you can actually address. And then some things you won't be able to make meaning from, some things that maybe happened to you that got in the way of your goals that were just painful, and there's nothing we can do to make sense out of them. Some things just don't make sense, and that's okay. We can learn to carry that pain with us in a way that doesn't impact us as harshly, and that just may mean allowing time to numb that pain a little bit, or it can mean doing things like going to therapy to getting coping techniques to cope with that pain or any type of loss that you've experienced, but learning to carry it with you so it doesn't stop you in your tracks, but you can acknowledge it, you can accept it using radical acceptance, but you could also commit to saying two things can exist at one time. I'm still going to move forward towards reaching my goals. I also want you to tap into your abundance before you set those 2025 goals. So in my productivity framework, I use the 6P. The first P is planting, which is all about grounding. Part of that is tapping into an abundance mindset that you are already blessed, coming from a place that any goal that I set from now is just icing on the cake, but I'm already so abundantly blessed right now. And so what can you think about as far as what realities are in your life right now that you once prayed for? What can you be grateful for? How can you set yourself up to come from this really abundant place so that you're not making goals out of scarcity? Another thing I always encourage folks to do, it's all embedded in my goal planner and my Mod Ambition goal planner, is clarifying your values. And values just means what's most important to you. And I like to do this yearly because sometimes those things change. So some of those pillar things may stay the same, like family is important to me, spirituality is important to me, but it may look different for me in different seasons of my life. And I might bring in new values as we grow, as we evolve. One of the exercises that I like to do to clarify my values is who or what inspired me in this past year. On my recent live, I gave the example of Martha Stewart. When I watched her documentary, she really inspired me. And then thinking about why, that helped me clarify some of my values, which were being a businesswoman, being meticulous about, my vision, and also being able to shift and reinvent myself, because she did that a lot in her life, which was really inspiring as well. So that kind of clarifies some values as you think about who inspires you and why they inspire you. And that can help you as well. I also have plenty of other techniques for clarifying your values in my goal planner. As I said, it walks you through all this process of all the thought work. So I'll be sure to leave that in the link in the description below if you're looking for some help with that. So after we've reflected and taken time to reset, the next part is building a vision and a strategy for 2025. This step is going to help you create a vision for your year and really outline those initial goals to support that vision. So let's start with crafting a vision statement. One powerful way that you can create a vision statement for 2025 is to define what you want your life to look like by the end of 2025. So sit down, take some time to really think about, okay, on December 31st, 2025, what do I want my life to look like? How do I want to feel? And really going hard on defining what it is, as much as you can be specific as possible. And when I say that, as a psychologist, I am very aware that sometimes being so specific can cause us anxiety and work against us in achieving our goals because we have those limiting beliefs that are triggered. So I only want you to be as specific as you can be without having resistance. A little bit of resistance is okay. We want that Goldilocks principle. You want it to be something that is going to be a challenge for you, but you don't want it to be so hard that your mind starts to resist it and work against yourself. So really finding that happy medium of being specific about what you want your year to look like at the end of the year, but not being so specific if it starts to give you any type of anxiety. Another popular way to create your vision for 2025 is vision boarding. I did a whole video with actually techniques to actually creating a vision board that works that I will link in the description for you. But what I most want you to remember about vision boards is vision boards are not meant to be used as motivation. So when you're thinking about what you're putting on there, think about really clarifying your goals. That's what they're used best for in the research. And I talk more about that in that video that I just did on how to create a vision board that actually works, which you can check out, that has all my detailed tips on creating a vision board based on the evidence, which I will link below. But what you really want to know as a summary for it here is that don't use your vision board for motivation. Use it to clarify your goals and really wrap your brain around your goals when you're setting your goals. And then when you're setting your 12-week year goals, to kind of remind you of that larger picture. That's what they're used best for. And I do have a Notion template that I think you should check out if you want to know some powerful strategies on creating images that are really going to help you achieve your goals in 2025. At the beginning of this Notion template, I have all these reflection prompts that are going to help you pick images for your vision board based on goal setting research and goal achievement research. And then I also have included in this Notion template is a Canva template to help you create your vision board. There's also reflection prompts in there to help you come up with your word of the year. So if you are interested in learning more on creating a vision board that really works, I really suggest you check that out. And then after you've kind of come up with your vision statement and your vision board, which I actually like to do my vision board after this next step, but you could do it before if you want to just kind of dive into getting a better idea of what it is you want to create for yourself. But either or, the next step in the process is creating your moon goals. So those are your larger goals for the year that are going to help guide your 12-week year goals if you use the book, The 12-Week Year Strategy. So the 12-week year talks about creating a vision in the first part of the book before setting your 12-week year goals. And these moon goals that I call them are part of that vision. They're your yearly goals, or they could even be like your 5-year goals or your 10 goals. Those are those bigger, larger than life goals that you're working towards, where your 12-week year goals are maybe a little bit more practical, used as milestones to help get you there. This is based off the Les Brown quote, "Reach for the moon. Even if you fail, you will land amongst the stars." So what are those larger than life goals that you're going to set after you have done the conscious work in step 1 of reflecting reflecting and resetting. You've come up with your vision statement. What are those larger goals that you have for 2025 that have flowed out of doing this conscious work? So if you've used the Mod Ambition Planner, as you do that conscious work, it will effortlessly guide you into creating these moon goals and a specific evidence-based strategy to create them. But you can do this no matter what type of goal planner you use, or if you're just doing your goal planning on your own. I do suggest, though, writing it with pen and paper, because research supports those that write their goals down with pen and paper are more likely to achieve them, just the way our brain works. And then you can implement them, if you're a digital girl, into your digital systems. But start off with your brainstorming really with pen and paper. And so you want to turn those moon goals as well into actionable goals by breaking them down into manageable steps. And that's where the 12-week year comes in. I do this as well in my Mod Ambition Planner. So it comes with the goal planner, but it also comes with a 90-day planner. So I set my quarterly goals, or you can call them 12-week year goals. It has a page for your quarterly planning. And then I also have in there ways to break that down into actionable steps with monthly planning, weekly planning, and daily planning, where you can do your time blocking. So don't just stop at creating those larger than life goals. Then I want you to think about, for this quarter, for this 12-week year, I want you to shift your mindset, and instead of thinking annually, to think in those periods, like the book The 12-Week Year emphasizes, and really think about, okay, how am I going to get there in these first 3 months of the year? What are the strategies that I'm going to use? If you need help with implementing the 12-week year, I have a Notion template that you can check out, and I also have a video that summarizes the book The 12-Week Year pretty much in depth. There's plenty of comments on that video that say it's the best description of the 12-week year, so I will be sure to link that below as well. And the last piece of that puzzle is action planning and staying on track in 2025. If I want to reach all my 2025 goals, I want to make sure that I don't just set it and forget it, that I actually am staying aligned with them throughout the year. So let's discuss how to develop a plan to stay committed to your 2025 goals and be consistent in your actions. So we've already talked about using the 12-week year strategies to come up with your 12-week year goals, doing your monthly planning. I also suggest, to keep you in line, to do weekly and daily planning as well. That's going to help you stay on track with your goals, going to give you a sense of alignment and a focus and streamlined way to get there. Ever since I started using these strategies, I've always been a planner girl, but ever since I started using the strategies of not only planning for the year, but breaking it down into each segment, Abraham Hicks calls this segment intending, planning that, you really can live life more intentionally and in turn meet your goals much faster, which is why in my planner I include all those types of planning pages. So we've talked about those sort of planning strategies, but I also want to talk about some other important strategies that you can use to keep yourself on track. So you also want to be building accountability into your life. So getting into some sort of accountability group of like-minded folks can be helpful. That has been shown to help us stick to our goals if you can do that. If you don't have a group that you can join or friends that you can talk to about this, habit tracking has also been shown to be really useful in helping us stay accountable to ourselves. So every time you go in there and track your goals and your habits, I usually do that every week. I have it in my Mod Ambition paper planner. I have a little habit tracker, but I also have a Notion habits and routines organizer that's really useful for this. So you can do it in the different segments, not just your weekly habits. But why this is important is because psychology research on habit tracking has shown that you're more likely to reach your goals with habit tracking than those folks that don't track their habits. And that's because it just creates that sense of mindfulness. And the accurate way to do it is when you realize that you haven't, checked off your habits for that week, or you're not meeting your goals as far as staying on your routines, you really want to pause and think about what got in the way so that you can course correct. It's not about beating yourself up or making yourself feel bad. It's about thinking, okay, is this related to the season of life I'm in? Is this related to my mood? What's going on here that I haven't really kept up with these habits? And if you have, just that simple check is so gratifying. Or if you're doing it in Notion, that little click, to be able to give yourself that pat on the back, it's that little bit of reward that keeps us going. If you want more information, a detailed way to implement the book, The 12-Week Year, and to actually understand the strategies, I will link a video I did on it here for you to watch next. Until next time, cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.